Pokemon just released Walking Wake and Iron Leaves, Paradox Suicune and Paradox Virizion respectively. They're certainly interesting Pokemon, but the question on everybody's mind is how good will the new Paradox Pokemon be competitively? We're gonna take a look at the two new Paradox Pokemon from the perspective of Smogon singles and VGC doubles, so let's get right into it. First up, we have Walking Wake, the Paradox Suicune, who's a water dragon type with a base stat total of 590, which is not too shabby. It also has a signature move of Hydro Steam, a water type move that increases its power in the sun. This synergizes well with its photosynthesis ability, but we'll get to that later. First of all, let's see what Walking Wake tries to do. It's built like a powerful, relatively fast special attacking Pokemon. Its speed crosses the base 100 mark, which is generally considered to be fast, and its 125 special attack is good too. Its bulk is decent for an attacking Pokemon, and its attack stat will most likely not even matter. Water plus Dragon is a pretty good defensive typing. Its main weakness is Freeze Dry, but fortunately there aren't any good Freeze Dry Pokemon in the tier right now. Walking Wake looks like it could be a fast, powerful Choice Specs attacker. It's fast, and its typing and bulk lets it get into the game easily. Once it's in the game, it can throw off high base power moves like Draco Meteor and Hydro Pump. That offensive type combination is really good, and the only OU Pokemon that has a good type matchup versus that is Azumarill. Unfortunately, Walking Wake does not get Calm Mind like Suicune does. Calm Mind Walking Wake would have turned it into a devastating sweeper. Its only boosting move is Dragon Dance, which isn't very relevant for a special attacking Pokemon. Its coverage is decent. It has the inaccurate but strong Hurricane, which is good for rain teams, and it also has Flamethrower. Stab Draco Meteor is stronger than super effective Flamethrower though. Obviously, if you invest your Terra, you can also have Terra Blast for whatever coverage you want. For example, if there was a meta where Tapu Fini was relevant, you might even want Terra Poison or Terra Grass, but for now it doesn't really feel necessary. It has Agility too, which is interesting with special attack boosting Booster Energy. Its signature move doesn't come into play unless you intentionally build around the weather playstyle, which is a perfectly viable option. You can fit your team with Pokemon like Torkoal and other Paradox Pokemon. Sun teams have never usually had water-type Pokemon on them because there wasn't a lot of natural synergy. You don't want to be using a water-type Pokemon that gets weakened in the sun. But Walking Wake changes that paradigm completely, and it opens up a new avenue we've never seen before on Sun teams. My extremely early verdict is that its Choice Specs moveset will be its best, and its secondary options will be stuff like Booster Energy, Life Orb, or just heavy-duty boots. It will be commonly seen on Sun teams, but it doesn't need to be on a Sun team to be good. So all things considered, Walking Wake looks extremely deadly. That stab combination is incredibly tough to deal with, and it's only stronger in the sun. Sun-boosted Hydro Steams are crazy, especially with photosynthesis. If you're not careful, a Choice Spec speed-boosted Walking Wake in the sun can sweep your entire team. It's clearly terrifying on a Sun team, but even if you don't want to invest a whole team into the playstyle, it functions well outside of Sun too. Stab Draco Meteor will never go out of style. As long as you put Walking Wake in positions to attack, good things will happen. I do expect it to be one of the best water types in the format and one of the best Pokemon overall. In VGC, Walking Wake is not legal, and it's unclear when it will be legal. At the earliest, it could be made legal in April, where it's predicted that the Ruin Pokemon will also be made legal. Obviously though, this is all speculation. Everything I say is a researched opinion, but is still ultimately only a prediction. It's still day one, but unlike OU, which has it live and usable right now, there have been 0 games played of Walking Wake VGC, and there probably won't be any meaningful games with it until it's freed in the future. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Walking Wake has some positives and some negatives in VGC. It's easier to set up Sun in doubles because you have a partner Pokemon. For example, you could have Torkoal and Walking Wake on the field at the same time. However, VGC has Flutter Mane and Iron Bundle. Flutter Mane and Iron Bundle are banned in OU, but in VGC they're both top Pokemon, with either Flutter Mane or Iron Bundle being seen on most teams. Flutter Mane outspeeds Walking Wake, has a super effective base 135 Moonblast, and also has a high special defense. To add insult to injury, it also has photosynthesis too, so any sun ideas would be matched. Iron Bundle has Freeze Dry and outspeeds Paradox Suicune. That's a key difference between OU and VGC. VGC has a Freeze Dry Pokemon near the top of the usage charts, while OU doesn't have a relevant Freeze Dry Pokemon. Iron Bundle also commonly runs Booster Energy itself and can outspeed and one-hit KO you. You can obviously Terrestrialize out of getting KO'd, but it's not ideal to be using a Pokemon that is forced to Terrestrialize to be effective. It limits your options when there's Pokemon you constantly have to Terra in order for it to be good. Something like Terra Fire or Terra Steel Walking Wake will be an amazing Pokemon, but you do have to be aware of its effect on the flexibility of your team. But there's also an element of who cares. Maybe you lose some flexibility, but Walking Wake is that good of a Pokemon. Who cares if you always have to Terrestrialize it? The loss of flexibility is worth the raw utility. That's the argument you would make when you put Walking Wake on your team. Walking Wake is still statistically a good Pokemon, those stats are in the right places and it has good moves. Despite its weaknesses to common Pokemon, it could be deadly on Sun Team. Just imagine Chi-Yu Sun with Booster Energy, Walking Wake melting away opponents with powerful special attacks. You have to know what you're getting into because Fluttermane and Iron Bundle are currently the most used Pokemon, and maybe you'll get forced into Terrestrializing, but maybe that's not a terrible outcome in the first place and the upside is clearly there. Walking Wake has real potential of being an elite Pokemon because of Sun teams, although I'm not sure if it'll be elite outside the weather playstyle. Second, we have Iron Leaves, a grass psychic type Pokemon who also has a total of 590 and is a Paradox Pokemon of Virizion. Similar to the Paradox Suicune, Iron Leaves has a new signature move called Psyblade which increases in power in electric terrain. It also has a pretty good stat distribution with its speed stat above base 100 and a strong base 130 attack stat. Unfortunately though, Iron Leaf notably does not have strong stab moves. There's a large power difference between Paradox Suicune using Draco Meteor and Iron Leaves using Leaf Blade. Its weak moves will likely stop it from being a good choice band Pokemon, but it's a decent sweeping option because it does have Swords Dance. If it can get a Swords Dance off, that can mitigate the low base power of attacks, and 130 base power at +2 can do a lot of damage. It's very realistic to even see Booster Energy Iron Leaves. +1 speed and +2 attack can rip through a team just like how Swords Dance Iron Valiant is doing it right now. And that's kind of a problem. What justifies using Iron Leaves as a Swords Dance Pokemon instead of the faster and stronger Iron Valiant? The additional bulk is pretty cool, but Grass and Psychic is not a particularly attractive type. It's weak to all sorts of common attacking types like U-Turn, Dark, Fire, Ghost, and Ice. The type is pretty terrible. Even if you get out of the abstract and look at specific Pokemon, it's weak to a lot of the top threats like Dragapult, Roaring Moon, Volcarona, King Gambit, and the list goes on and on. Iron Leaves also gets completely shut down by Unaware Skeledirge. The tier could really use a ground resist to take on Great Tusk, but Iron Leaves isn't exactly the robot for the job because it's weak to Great Tusk's knockoff and doesn't have a recovery move. The typing really does hold Iron Leaves back from being good. My best bet is that it would be used as a Booster Energy sweeper, but its typing and lack of powerful stab moves leave a lot to be desired. Also, Quark Drive is not as good as its counterpart because electric terrain is only set up by Pink Urchin and it's harder to justify an electric terrain team because it doesn't boost a lot else. Sun is good because with enough power, Fire-type Pokemon can break even Water-type Pokemon, but electric terrain doesn't help electric-type Pokemon beat Ground-type Pokemon. What could be interesting is that Iron Leaves could be a big winner of Terrestrialization. If you can Terra into a better type, then maybe you can steamroll with Swords Dance Booster Energy. Generally speaking, setup sweepers do well with Terra because stopping a Pokemon with a doubled attack stat is tough when it can change its type defensively. Paradox Virizion looks like a UU Pokemon to me. Because Swords Dance Booster Energy is still strong, it's just not good enough for OU. There are ideas with Terra Fire and Terra Blast to beat Steel-type Pokemon while getting an immunity to burn, and I could see it shining in the second division. In doubles, many of the fundamental issues still exist, but it's not all bad. Once again, it's not currently legal, but may be legal starting in April. Iron Leaves does get some doubles moves like Helping Hand, but there's nothing amazingly notable. I wouldn't call it bad, especially with 0 games played, but there are fundamental issues, and Dark types are only gonna get stronger when VGC legalizes the Ruin Pokemon like Chi-Yu and Chi-Empower. Iron Leaves has a similar reliance on terrestrialization as Walking Wake, but with less of an upside to make up for it. You probably have ideas of terrestrializing and then throwing off base 130 attacks while being hard to KO. At first glance, its best moveset is probably Swords Dance Booster Energy 2, but with redirection support from a Pokemon like Follow Me Mousehold. Mousehold could protect Virizion from attacks, and its natural typing is good versus common spread attacks like Earthquake and Expanding Force. Iron Leaves really hopes that Miraidon gets freed at some point to give Iron Leaves some help, because its grass typing could help beat ground types for Miraidon. Until it gets some meaningful electric terrain support, I'm cautiously pessimistic, but it's too early to tell. Iron Leaves is definitely good in formats with a good electric terrain Pokemon, and will probably be average in formats without it. I'll talk about the other competitive relevant news in the next video, so subscribe if you're interested in that. But as a reward for making it this far, here's a Walking Wake Sun team built by Maverick Shooter that you can try on the ladder yourself. Let me know how it goes and what you think about the new Pokemon.